Alright, what's up guys, it's Nathan here. Today I want to share with you how I overcame the imposter syndrome as a software developer. So, imposter syndrome is a name for feelings of fear and doubt that a person feels when he or she thinks that they can't do the job that they are assigned to. In software development, this can be seen when a person constantly doubts his or her ability to solve coding problems or technical problems. They might have a guess on how to solve the problem, but because of fear, they constantly doubt their guess instead of just trying it out and see if it works. As a result, the person may procrastinate and delay working on the assigned task. It's called imposter syndrome because you feel like an imposter in your role, and it's only a matter of time before everyone else finds out that you are a fake, that you actually cannot do what you said you were able to do, and that you are actually a liar. This feeling of doubt is actually very common among software developers. So if you have it, the first thing you need to remember is that you are not alone. Doubting one's own ability to get the job done is a very common thing in all kinds of professions. Whether it's software development, sales, accounting, or graphic design, other people around you might actually have it too. They just don't tell you about it. Just think about it for a second. Imagine a coworker comes to you and say, "Hey, I really don't know what I'm doing here. I am feeling like a fraud. I'm feeling like a fake. I think I'm going to resign tomorrow." What would you say? If it were me, I would say, hey, there, take it easy, friend. I know you are having a hard time solving this problem, but it doesn't really make you a fake, And I understand that, I feel doubt and fear too sometimes. So don't worry, you are not alone. See what I did there? I acknowledge that I also experienced doubt, just like the coworker. The only difference here is that I don't let doubt and fear stop me from doing my job. How do I do that? Well, after doing software engineering for quite a long time, I have 3 ideas that I remind myself of that help me overcome the imposter syndrome. Number 1 is that nobody expects you to know about everything. Anyone who has ever tried to code a program knows that the technical detail in the field of software engineering is so large and expansive. This is because software is malleable, and you can create applications for literally all kinds of computing devices, from the web to mobile applications to smart TVs. You also have updates on the libraries, changes that break the previous versions of the libraries. So, in my experience, people who know how big the world of software engineering is understands why other people might get overwhelmed because of the technical details. Now, again, imagine that a coworker comes to you and asks about a particular function used in the project. You know quite well about that function. What will you do? Will you criticize him? Will you say, "You are such a loser? How come you didn't figure this out already?" No, right? I hope you don't do that. What you're going to do is that you're going to try and explain the function well enough so that your friend, your coworker, can understand it too. The same is true for you. When you encounter unfamiliar technologies, algorithms, or problems at work, it doesn't make you unqualified to work in the field of software development. Think back about the first time you learned about conditionals, loops, or recursion. At one point, they seemed impossible. Now though, you are quite familiar with them, and you probably can create an if-else block without using Google. The same will happen with more advanced topics. You just need to give yourself time and let others help you when you're stuck. In my experience, almost everyone who works in the field of software development are supportive and willing to help out when we're lost. But if you work in a team that dismisses your questions and makes you feel incompetent for asking, you are probably working in the wrong company. Number 2 is to keep a record of your wins. When fear and doubt creep in and you feel that you're not up for the challenges, take a step back and look at the challenges you have overcome in the past. Yes, there are things you don't know, data structures you haven't worked with, frameworks you never touched before, but that doesn't mean that what you do know is worthless. I mean, do you remember the first time you learned conditionals? If, else, for loops, while loops? At one point, you struggled to just print the numbers from 1 to 10. But now, I bet you can do it without opening Google or using ChatGPT. Now, if you have to search or ask AI, don't feel bad either. I think you just need more practice. Maybe it took some struggle, maybe you needed help with some topic, but in the end, you solved it. And if you could learn those things, what's stopping you from learning how to solve the next challenge? This is why keeping a record of your win is so important. Write down every tough problem you've solved, every new concept you've mastered, every time you debugged an issue that had you stumped for hours. If you're doing free code cam or lit code, take a look at the problems with the check marks, those that you have solved in the past. When self-doubt hits, take a look back at your wins. They are proof that you have faced challenges in the past and came out with victory on the other side. Number 3 is don't take your life or career too seriously. And I know this is something hard to do, especially if you are doing software development and learning how to code to get a job. If you can't secure a job, you can't get money, and people tend to freeze up and stress out because of money. One trick I found to be true in my life is that I did my best work when I don't think at all. When I just focus on the problem in front of me and nothing else. It's actually very simple. If thinking about money causes you to lose focus, then you need to forget about the money. When you're taking an interview, act as if you're taking an interview for the fun of it. When you go to work, see it as solving interesting puzzles rather than proving your worth as a human being. If you're constantly thinking about job security, promotions, or whether you're good enough, you are wasting mental energy that you could spend on solving technical problems. You need to realize that at the end of the day, what you're doing is just instructing the computer to do something. Honestly, it's not that big of a deal. You're not a doctor performing a brain surgery where a person might not make it when you fail. Now, what if you're working on a software to help in performing surgery? Well, don't worry too, because the company should have a rigorous acceptance test. Then that means your code shouldn't even make it out there without being checked thoroughly. I know all this sounds like I'm making what software developers do trivial and not that important, but personally, it helps me to relax and approach my work with curiosity rather than fear. It makes work fun instead of scary. Also, I think this happens naturally when you are already in the field for a long time. This is because once you work in tech for years, you realize that learning something new is not such a big deal. It's just like in video games, where in every new level, you always have something new, complex problem to solve. So that's how I overcame the imposter syndrome as a software developer. I hope it's useful for you. All of this might take a little time to sink in. The imposter syndrome really doesn't go away overnight. But once you recognize that it's just an irrational and excessive fear, it shouldn't affect your ability to work. And really, I think that's what's important. Doubt and fear shouldn't stop you from doing your job as a software developer, especially if you find the work to be exciting. Trust in your own ability to learn, ask questions when needed, ask for help from your coworker when they are available. Remember that nobody has it all figured out, keep a list of your wins, and don't take your career too seriously. So that will be all for today. If you find this helpful, please do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done that already. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Now, where was I? Alright. npm run dev.